Yo, how's it going everyone? I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I'm Ames, and in this video, we're going to cover 4 more new Shonen Jump mangas. Now, these ones, compared to the previous 4, seem to be for a more mature audience, while the previous 4 were a little more on the goofy side. If you guys want to know what I said about the 4 previous mangas, I'll leave a link in the description for that video. Feel free to watch it if you want. Anyways, as I was saying, at least one of these is incredibly violent. I won't mention it when I start covering that manga, but just be warned ahead of time. I won't show anything that's super violent or graphic in this video. I'll just give you a heads up while I'm covering that manga. The other 3 are pretty tamed. Now for this video, I'm going to cover the manga with the least amount of chapters to the one with the most, just so I can get the ones that I have less to talk about over with and focus on the one that has more content at the end. And with that, let's begin. So to start, the first one I'm going to cover is Wild Strawberry. It's a manga about parasitic plants taking over Tokyo. Of course, these parasitic plants have spread around the world, but right now they're most prominent in the poor district of Tokyo, where the people can't really afford access to the vaccine. Now, the story follows our 2 characters, who are siblings but not related by blood. One of them is infected with these parasitic plants. However, she seems to have formed a symbiotic relationship with them. But instead of them fully taking over her body like a parasite, they coexist with each other where they feed off of her to stay alive, but she maintains her sense of self and is actually able to manipulate the plants to her will. Now this is the super violent manga I was talking about earlier, because whenever one of the plants fully bloom, they burst out of the person's body, causing a rain of blood and guts to fly everywhere. Granted, it's not as bad as something like Chainsaw Man, but then again, it is on the same level as that, especially with the whole parasitic plants taking over a host. Since it's only 2 chapters out at the moment, I'm not sure where the story is going to go, but we can assume it's going to be something like Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Kaiju number 8, where they're going to use their new abilities in order to fight off other parasitic plants that are trying to kill people. Especially since they have a symbiotic relationship with the parasitic plants, where the plant isn't taking over them, but they're able to control it. Now this manga has amazing artwork, a story that's really good but not unique, which is leading me to believe that the author, Iri Yonemoto, I may have screwed that up, I apologize if I did. Anyways, it's making me believe that he had some previous work done, but when I searched it up, nothing. This is literally his first ever manga published. He hasn't even worked as an assistant before. So that's why I'm fully convinced that he has had some other work published, even if he only worked on that project as an assistant. It's just I'm assuming he changed his alias after this project was greenlit, just so this work doesn't get associated with any of his previous works. Otherwise, he's literally a diamond in the rough who just popped up out of nowhere, which honestly, this is way too good of a manga for me to believe that. Now, in terms of how long this will last, I can't say, because the fact that the story is not necessarily original but still very good means people could either love it or hate it, because people could just look at it and be like, oh, it's just another Naruto clone where this beast enters their body and possesses them, granting them significant power to fight against evil, you know? So people could be instantly turned off by that storyline, despite the amazing artwork and characters we have so far. Me personally, I think it will last. It's definitely gonna last until it reaches its intended conclusion. It's not gonna get canceled or abruptly end just because it's not popular enough. It's gonna be popular enough. I'm very certain of that. Hopefully other people view it that way too. Next up on my list, Icehead Gil. It's a story about a kid whose father betrayed his countrymen, killing his subordinates and the crown prince, and then soldiers came after this kid's head, so he fled to a different country. And the story follows him going on an adventure trying to clear his dad's name, and in the process discovering a deep dark secret about this world. He learns that there's these mythological monsters called Leech, who are beings from hell that come back, possess the bodies of the dead, and then go around with the single intent of wiping out all of humanity. Now, this is actually a really good manga. It has an awesome story, an awesome character, and really good artwork. And the author, Iko Hachiya, sorry, that was very hard for me to pronounce. I'm probably gonna screw up a lot of these names, to be honest. But anyways, Iko Hachiya has had previous work. One shot and one as an assistant, but he does have some experience, and you can kind of see it in his artwork. And his storytelling doesn't fall behind either. He came up with a really good narrative establishing an end goal and a character who has a perfectly reasonable and understandable motivation. He simply wants to prove that his dad is innocent. Of course, a lot of the other people see this as bad because his dad committed a heinous crime and is viewed as a traitor. So the protagonist is gonna have major obstacles in his way. Not only are there people chasing after him to punish him for his dad's crime, but the dead are also coming back and killing people in the name of their true king. Now, we don't know what they mean by that just yet, but of course course is gonna be revealed later on. There is this whole overarching mystery about the leech and their motivations, and how that aligns with our protagonist's goal. For you see, his father was researching the leech before he murdered his comrades and crown prince. It is implied that either he or his comrades and the crown prince were possessed by a leech. We don't know which one it is at the moment, which is honestly a positive, because normally in this situation, some random person will show up and straight up tell him what happened, thus giving the protagonist their motivation for the rest of the story. I like it this way better, where the protagonist is traveling around slowly uncovering the truth for himself, rather than someone randomly coming and telling him, giving him a reason to fight. So personally, this does seem like a really good story. It may not be a long-lasting story, but one that's going to be popular and reach a natural conclusion. It may not last more than about 100 something chapters, but to be honest, I don't think it needs to. It's going to be one of those stories that lasts a few years and has a satisfying ending that won't disappoint its audience. Next up, martial arts master Asumi. Now this manga was written by Kawada, who is more famous for his other work, Hinamaru Sumo. So as we can see here, he is very familiar with martial arts manga. So already, this manga has a lot of hype to it, and it starts off strong by giving us a protagonist who mentally is a total pushover, but physically he is incredibly strong because he spent his entire childhood training with his grandfather, who is a martial arts master. However, he is not a fan of violence. So he did everything he can to avoid completing his grandfather's training regimen and simply practice ground techniques which were easier for him compared to striking and kicking. But then he ends up meeting a girl whom he thinks is cute, and this girl, her dream is to become an MMA fighter. So this guy starts falling in love with martial arts through her, and then starts to seriously focus on training. There is a lot more drama that goes on throughout the story, but I think it's better for you to read that for yourself than me spoiling it for you. All I will say is, this manga is probably the best out of the four. Not only does it have the most potential, it probably has the best artwork and best storyline, as well as an author who has previous experience writing a successful manga. So frankly, I can't see this story failing in any way, shape, or form. It has the best artwork, the best story, and the best characters out of the four right now. This series will definitely last and be popular throughout its entire serialization. I can say this without a doubt, it will definitely be the most popular out of the four. But then again, the last one I said that about is currently the bottom in Shonen Jump's popularity poll, which is incredibly frustrating, but that's a different video for a different day. For now, martial arts master Asumi will definitely be within the upper echelon of Shonen Jump's hierarchy. It's gonna be a top 5 manga for sure. Next, and possibly the most interesting manga on this list, Beat and Motion. Now, this is the only manga on this list that is not published in Weekly Shonen Jump or any other Shueisha associated manga magazine. This is exclusively published on Shueisha's Shonen Jump Plus website. Now, the reason this is only published on the website is because the author won this game show called Million Tag, which was hosted by Shonen Jump Plus, and it was an 8-part web series where they take a bunch of amateur mangakas, team them up with a prospective manga creator and a manga editor, and then they compete in challenges in order to see which of their mangas gets published as Shonen Jump Plus, which is their subscription service, or Manga Plus as it's called in Japan, I believe. Also, here's the most interesting thing about this. This is the only manga on the list that has an anime adaptation in the works. And that's because of this reality show. Not only does it get published in Shonen Jump Plus, it also gets a Netflix anime adaptation because of it. There is no date for when it comes out or how faithful it's going to be to the manga that's currently being published, because I don't know if the manga from that web series and the one that's currently being published are one-to-one of each other. But anyways, enough talking about how this got published. Let's start talking about the actual manga. It's about a dude whom as a kid had dreamed of becoming an animator. However, people started making fun of his drawings. So he ultimately gave up on that dream, and then he joined a band that his friends started and tried to find success as a musician, but struggled to gather an audience. So once again, he gave up on his dream and started viewing anyone who had a dream as chasing a fantasy. Then one day, him and his friends were going on a group date, and one of them was talking about how he wanted to become a famous musician. The protagonist kinda made fun of him for it, and that got on this one girl's bad side. And then after everyone left and they were alone, she went off on him, calling him a loser, a pathetic nobody. She started kicking him and telling him to go die and be reborn as someone who's actually willing to dream. Funny enough, that was the inspiration for him to getting back into animation. He ended up making a short animation video and uploading it, which caught the attention of one of his favorite underground singers. she had wanted him to animate one of her music videos for her. He was more than thrilled to learn that his favorite musician wanted his animation for her music video. Then it turned out that his favorite singer was the girl who kicked his ass and insulted him for bashing someone's dream. Of course, that made him feel very awkward, especially since it turns out she was so drunk she doesn't remember him. But after spending some time with her, he grew closer to her and ended up viewing her as a very good friend whom he can rely on. So they both go on and attempt to pursue their dreams, her of becoming a famous musician and him of being a famous animator. Of course, they both go through their own struggles and difficult times, but they're still supporting each other in hopes of achieving their dreams. Now, I really love this manga for the same reason I love Tenmaku Cinema. The story is very well written, and the characters are realistic and relatable. It's easy to get drawn into this world and feel like you're actually there. The artwork is also top tier. This is not something you would expect from someone's first publication. There is no way this manga ends up failing. Even though it's only a web manga, it's still my favorite on this list. It may not be the most popular, but it's definitely one of the better written ones. Even more so than Wild Strawberry, which had a really good start and amassed a massive following from the get-go. However, Beat in Motion did garner a lot of attention because it won that reality show that got it published in the first place. So it's not like people don't know about it. A lot of people should know about it, especially in Japan. I'm just really hoping it's not another Tenmaku Cinema situation where people don't really care about it just because it's not super outlandish or action-packed. I personally believe a story doesn't need to have a lot of excitement in order for it to be good, especially when it's this well written. You don't need a lot of action scenes, a lot of fight scenes, or a deep dark mystery in order to enjoy the story. And you especially don't need half-naked women in order to make a story good. I'm looking at you, newest exorcist. The story is fluid, consistent, and relatable. I personally believe you don't need anything more than that for a slice of life like this. So hopefully it is popular. But from past experience, it may not be the most popular on this list. And that's gonna be it for this one, folks. Me personally, my top two are Beat in Motion and Martial Arts Masters Asumi. But I'm pretty sure Icehead Gill and Wild Strawberry have more attention to them. Last I saw, Icehead Gill was higher up in the popularity poll, but then again, it is newer, so it is bound to be more popular. That doesn't mean it's going to be the more popular one at the end of its run. We simply have to wait and see which one of these ranks higher at the end of their serialization. So once again, thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. I hope to see you in the next one, and remember to keep having fun. See ya!